Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of It's Our House podcast with me, Faz. We've got our co-host. We've got Chris. Say hello, Chris.
Hello.
And we've got Stu. How are you, man? You all right?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. So I want to give a quick shout out to Viking Size Gamer to just thank you for the intro. It's top. It's really good. You know, something that we want a professional for us. So big thank you. Go over to give him all the love in the world. Subscribe to him, all that stuff. But today we have Ring of Honor's best kept secret, the man behind the magic, the VP and COO of Shane Taylor Promotions, Rev Ron Hunt. Welcome, my friend. Welcome.
Man, listen, I tell you this, you guys are batting it out of the ballpark with these introductions. I thought Shane had the best. Now he's going to have a little heat with me because of that introduction, brother. I truly appreciate it. I'll put your Shane Taylor Promotions check in the mail.
Thank you, my man.
There we go. It's paying off.
It's the one thing I write down. The rest is all just ad lib.
Well, at the end of the day, yourself and Shane have said we're part of STP now.
Yeah.
You know, that's the main thing. I tell you, you know, we're so in sync. I was telling you guys before this, but you know, joking with Shane about doing this whole interview in the car, and then here I go doing my interview in the car, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're like the busiest promotion in all of the country.
Exactly. Up and down the whole of the US.
Ron, I'm doing mine at work.
All
That's
over
why
the
there's no
place.
clock. There's no clock this week because I'm at work because I had to speak to the Reverend Ron. You know what I mean? I wasn't missing this one.
Hey, listen, and what we tell you got to secure the bag.
Yeah, right.
Busy people secure the bag.
That's it, man. There is no rest for us.
So how you been, Rev? You all right?
Hey, not too bad. You know, trying to get things back up and back up and running. You know, the pandemic I think slowed the whole entire nation down, and that was the same thing. You know, with us and STP and wrestling all over the world. So I think as people are slowly but safely getting things back to normal, that's where we're kind of at as an organization, as a promotions, as just getting back on the ground. We never stayed off the track. We just slowed down some things and start to strategically look at things. But now it's at that point to where things are slowly opening back up. Companies are dangerous enough to say they want STP there, and whenever we lock things in, we try to make it happen like we never left.
That's right. You didn't. Honestly, you've been the talk of the town in the UK from what we're pushing. I'll tell you that.
Yep, 100%.
Hey, we appreciate that, man. We appreciate all the support from you guys, honestly.
Awesome. So we're going to go into the questions now. So basically, I just want to talk about what was your first memories of wrestling, as a kid. What was the first thing you saw that made you go, wow, I'm interested in this path?
Yeah, so one of the things, it sounds cliche, but honestly, I believe since I was breathing on this earth, I was watching wrestling. I was always a fan of it, but I think the switch that kind of clicked that made me go from looking at it in the fandom standpoint of things to seeing how I can get involved in the business. I believe it was 1998. It was WCW. Let me see what paper it was. Was it Bash at the Beach? And I think it was Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero in a hair versus hair match. Loser had to get their hair cut. And, a lot of people know, and the recipe said, 15 years, just about a few days ago, give or take, depending on when you watch this. But just this month marked 15 years since the passing of Eddie Guerrero in 2005. And Eddie was that one that whatever he did, it was something about him that was magnetic. It was something about him that drew everybody in. And that was the same thing with me. And I think that was the bug that finally bit me that said, I want to make an impact in my own way, like Eddie Guerrero has on millions of people. And there's my GPS agreeing. But it was one of those things where, I saw Eddie wrestle and I was like, man, I really got to see more of this guy. And the more I began to watch Eddie Guerrero, the more I began to fall in love with the craft and fall in love with, just how creative, how smooth, how captivating he was for not even being that big of a guy, but he was still larger than life. Yeah. And I think from there, I put it in my mindset, I want to do this. I don't know where I have to start. I don't know how long it has to take, but I'm going to get this done by any means necessary. And I've been very fortunate to, now looking at it, nearly 10 plus years later, of me in this business and being at the top of the game. And I still feel like I haven't reached my peak. I'm surrounded by guys that have not reached their peak yet and are still dominating worldwide. And I couldn't be any happier with the outcome and eventually making that step to want to go forward, man. But I tell you, it all started with Eddie Guerrero. It all started with Eddie Guerrero.
Absolutely love it. That's a clip. That's a clip right there, Stu.
He inspired so many people. He inspired so many people to get into wrestling. Like Sasha Banks, always throwing out tributes to Eddie, isn't she? You know, loads of top names. Ray's always doing it. All those guys got inspired by Eddie. But Ron, what was it that actually, you know, you say what got you into wrestling, but how did you physically become a part of the wrestling world? Were there many schools around where you lived when you were a kid? Was it easy to get into, or was it a long journey?
Woo! Well, you know, I would say, you know, with anything that takes dedication, it's always going to be a long journey. With me, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the United States, and there are you know, a lot of good schools. You had your IWC, your International Wrestling Cartel, which is what Shane mentioned that helped, you know, light a fire underneath him. You know, you have your at that point in time, you had your NWA East. And then, you know, you had others that, you know, very well-rounded coaches. But at that time, I didn't really know much about, you know, how in sync Pittsburgh was in regards of the independent scene. I did have some family in Florida. So, you know, the goal was, I told my parents, you know, this is what I want to do. At that time, you know, I was getting a little bit older. I was getting ready to graduate high school. And they said, well, you know, here's some, you know, reputable schools after talking to a few people. And one of them that came up was the Wild Samoan Pro Wrestling Training Center in Florida. And I have some family in Florida. It was ran by off the Wild Samoan. And, you know, it was one of those things to where they said, if this is what you want to do, we'll help you. You know, we'll help you pay for some of this tuition that it takes to get into the school. If you pass their you know, their training and their test. And, you know, as long as you promise to get some type of degree, that way you have something to fall back on in case the dream doesn't pan out. And I was like, okay, cool, done deal. You know, I was gonna get a degree anyway. So that was an easy deal. And so 2011 is when I started. I went down to Florida, trained with Off the Wild Samoan and a bunch of tremendous athletes. You know, if anyone knows anything about the legendary Samoan Dynasty, it has everything. As a matter of fact, the recent feud with Roman and the Usos, Roman and Jay, my trainer was out there because, you know, those are his nephews, you know, those are his cousins. So just being able to be surrounded by people that have such an impact on pro wrestling nationwide as a whole, no matter what company you're in, that helped me find a deeper respect for the business. And it was not no cakewalk. Anyone that came out of that school will tell you, you know, if Alpha's going to put his name on you, he's going to make sure that you're tried and you're proven. And so, you know, very rough, very, very rigorous, very tiring. And it takes dedication. But at the end of the day, if you want something and you want something bad enough, you're not going to let anything stand in the way. And I honestly feel like it was one of the best decisions of my life when I got started in 2011.
Damn right. Damn right.
To be fair, I mean, that family, that's a good way to start, because that family is just, you know, decades and generations and that, and to get kind of their understanding of wrestling is far superior to maybe, I'd probably say the Hearts would be very, very similar.
I was going to say the Hearts, yeah.
Yeah, the Hearts.
Get much better than those two families.
I would say so.
I think they're two of the top families. I think with the Samoans, we always joke. It's like, you know, when any Samoan baby pops out the womb, they're automatically giving a doctor a clothesline. It's just how it is. Like, anyone that's a Samoan that's tied in with them are naturally going to be a star in the game. You look at, you look at your Roman, you look at your Usos, you look at people like Rikishi, God rest in peace, the great Umaga. Rosie, you know, the great Rosie. Yokozuna, like you have so many that are just naturally gifted in the business, and I think, you know, that honestly happens just from pure dedication and it naturally being in your blood. Certain things you just can't shake, and you know, so I was very fortunate to be able to work with those guys, you know, even now till today, you know, work with a few of them and still talk to them on a daily basis. And, you know, it always keeps that hunger. It always keeps that desire in front of you and let you know why you got into the business and for what reason you got into the business for.
Yeah. Was there any other big names there with you at the same time?
So, you know, you're not throwing any names out there, but I think anyone that's been out there has been on some type of national TV, regardless. One of the guys, I mean, clearly you have Lance, that is Samu's son, the great Samu, the head shrinker. He's been doing his thing up and down the East West Coast on national TV. You have your guys like Sean Maluda, who's been doing his thing all over the place with all different top promotions nationwide on TV. But at the end of the day, I think when you look at the whole alumni and the whole history that's behind that school, nothing but pure legends come out of that school.
Oh, definitely.
Nothing but pure legends. So I think one thing that helped me was I knew I still wasn't at the top of my A game when I graduated from the school, but at the same time I knew, okay, my name is on this. So people are going to naturally expect me to be great to a certain extent. So I have to try to rise above the occasion each and every time. And I feel like that pressure, a lot of times people can't handle that pressure. Yeah. But for me, I thrive in pressure. And I think, I can speak for anyone that's on St. Taylor Promotions. We love pressure. We thrive when people say we can't do something. And I think on an individual level, that was the same thing with me. I love the pressure, and I felt like it made me stronger. It made me better because I had to force myself to be at a certain level. I had to force myself to walk, to talk, to present a certain way, to wrestle a certain way, because I had a legend's name underneath me. And so nothing was given to me. You had to earn it like everybody else, if not more, because of who was representing you, because of who was backing you. You had to back it up even more.
I mean, there's no other bigger legend coming out of that school than Rev Ron Hunt, is there? Let's be honest.
Hey, listen, I wish I could take all credit on that. Now, when it comes to the mic, there's a few that can hang up there. But I'm very fortunate, and I think in this business, as long as you're talking from the heart, man, people are going to hear you, and people are going to hear you loud and clear. And that was always my main thing. I'm not going to do anything that isn't me. Everything that people see, that's 100% me. What I'm saying, I believe it. And I feel like people can feel those words, when I'm talking or when anyone with STP are talking, because we believe full-heartedly what we're saying, what we're telling people, what we are telling you, what we're going to do. We believe it word for word. Mm-hmm. And I think when you have a heart of belief behind your words, it makes your words that much more powerful. It makes your words sting that much more. And just have something that's different about it that not many people can try to duplicate or imitate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, Ron, going on, you obviously came into the wrestling scene and you had the Reverend gimmick that you've got just now. And I think with the exception of Devon, well, you're number one, obviously, with the Reverend gimmick. Going forward, where did that come from? What was it that made you go, that's me?
Yeah. So, my father, he's actually a pastor. With myself, I'm actually a licensed minister. And before I actually, you'll find some old clips. Before I actually
I will find them.
Oh, listen, I know you guys. I've been seeing your guys' Twitter and everything. You guys been killing it. I'm like, man, I forgot about these videos. I was like, man, they got me speaking Spanish and stuff. I forgot about these videos. but yeah, so when I initially got started in 2011, I went by the name Luke Cage. I was Pro Wrestling's own Luke Cage. Not as similar to the comic book character, but in a way, just because of the amount of aggression that I brought to the table, the amount of calculated tactics that I brought to the table, is why I kind of took on that name. But it was actually around about 2013, 2014 or so. I was talking to my good friend Robbie Illuminati. He works with CZW Hall of Famer, good friend of mine with Team Blackout. We were talking, and he was like, listen, I was working in TV and everything like that. And he was like, listen, you need something like, TV's own Ron Hunt or the News's own Ron Hunt, or, something that's similar and different. And I said, well, I'm a reverend. And he's like, dude, you need to do something with that. And, it was a little bit of a play of another one of my big motivations was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know, not only, you know, mainly because of, you know, there was that family tie there, but also because of mainly what not only he did in the ring, but outside of the ring. I mean, the guy is completely humble. No matter what he does, no matter how successful he is, he's humble, even up till today. And he's one of the highest paid people in the world. And so The Rock, you know, had his thing. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to be the Rev. You know, Rev Ron Hunt, but you know, have my own flair into it. And some people say it's a little bit of a mixture of The Rock versus a little bit of Ric Flair, you know, versus a little bit of Pope. Pope's my boy. You know, I talk to Pope on a consistent basis. But you know, just being able to kind of find my own, but take a little bit of flavor from all of those people and bring it all together collectively, and then make it my own. Is kind of where that came from. Clearly, with, you know, with my background, I wanted it to be, you know, one of my things is, you know, I'm known as a savior of pro wrestling. So within that, sorry, I'm just gonna turn this corner here. Yeah. So within that, you know, one of the main things is, you know, not even just on the faith side of things, but just in general, we all go through problems. You know, we all go through situations, we all go through pains, we all, you know, wrestle our own individual demons. And you know, my main thing is, if I can use what I do in the shoot world, and you know, bring it to help not only fans, but bring it to help fellow wrestlers that are struggling, then you know, I did my job. And you know, that was the mindset of, you know, whatever I can do to help my people behind closed doors and also in front of the camera, that's my job. And that's kind of where the Rev came in at.
It's a cool gimmick, I have to say, because Faz, you're going to go into this a wee bit more in just a second, but obviously you are a good voice on the microphone, and reverends, that's what they do. They preach, you know, and it just works so much. It just works so well with what you're doing at the moment. It's like I say, it really does. It's cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, fun fact. I heard you mention. I heard you mention Devon Dudley. You'll find it. I'll try to send you a clip if you haven't found it already. So Devon and I actually worked a company together, and he came in, and you know, we had this match, and he comes out, and he's like, Rev, you and I gotta have a talk. He said, you know, I was the OG Reverend before it was Rev Ron Hunt. He was like, but I guess I can let you borrow it. And, you know, some knucklehead got into the ring, and the next thing you know, we had to put him through a table. So I tried to tell Devon to get the table. Devon pulled the vet card on me and said, I've been getting the table for 30 plus years. You get the table. So I think officially I am the only Reverend outside of Devon that was told to get the table by Devon and then put somebody through it.
That's on your resume.
That's on the resume. So Devon's a good brother of mine.
Shane's embarrassed, but by the God, you're not far behind by that story anyway.
No, listen, man. Some of these stories, I don't know how I survive it, but I'm just glad I'm on Devon's good side.
I mean, you mentioned before, obviously, some of the best talkers on the mic. You mentioned, you know, The Rock. You mentioned Ric Flair. Two of the best that's ever done it. What we've seen recently from yourself is a lot more, you know, behind the scenes or mic work. You know, helping Shane Taylor Promotions really push up. So, how come you've made that slight transition at the moment from the manager?
Yeah. So, you know, it was one of those things to where, you know, I kind of knew what my ability was outside of the ring as well. And, you know, when Shane and I initially met, I want to say give or take about 4 or 5 years ago, you know, he's a good brother of mine. A lot of, you know, people there are good brothers of mine, unless you're talking about a Brian Johnson. No one likes Brian Johnson because, you know, Brian Johnson doesn't even like Brian Johnson. That's another story. But so it was one of those things to where you know, I said, you know, clearly I know that I'm gifted in the ring, but you know, Shane at that point was unhappy with how things were turning out, you know, in regards of, you know, him dominating consistently, not feeling like he was getting his just due, and, you know, knowing what his capabilities were. And, you know, a guy that's been there, that's been, dominating for years, nearly a half a decade in ROH. I said, listen, brother, I see the same thing. And, when Shane and I first started talking, we were both in the same mindset of, we're not going to wait for someone to throw us a bone or give us an opportunity. We can ask, and they only have one chance to turn us down. And if they turn us down, we're just going to take what we want. And, once we got into that mindset, we put our minds together and we said, listen, we're pretty sure there are some others that are struggling just like we are, or might be angry or upset about how things are turning out just like we are. We want to build something that is for us, by us, that gives opportunity for others to showcase their skills, to tell people what they're about, and take the wrestling scene by storm. And, that's we put our mind together collectively. And, Shane's like, listen, I'm thinking about starting my own promotions, and this is what I want to do with it. This is how I want to utilize it. And I say, my brother, let me know where we got to start, and let's go from there. And, from then on, it was just slowly putting puzzles of that pieces of that puzzle together. And then we slowly started building. And then, we did a few things here and there. And then we said, we want these guys. Then we signed SOS. And, we all, as you guys know, we always work behind closed doors until it's the right moment for us to say what we're doing. But no one really ever knows what we do behind closed doors until we need them to know. For example, bringing O'Shea Edwards in. That shook the world. And, we're going to keep going. But it all initially started with two guys, Shane and I, that were in the same mindset of just taking what we wanted. We were fed up of waiting in the line, waiting to be fed. And that's why if you guys see me on social media, I say everybody eats. There's no time for us to just be in line waiting for someone to give us a bone. No, you set the table, you prepare your own plate, and you tell people when it's time to eat. And that's how we've been running.
Shane did go through it a wee bit last week because over the years with Shane, I mean, he's always kind of been in the shadow as such, like with Keith Lee when they were together. Keith Lee was always the dominant one, etc. Where Shane was just as good, if not better, than Keith Lee. And then obviously when he got the world television, it was kind of like, I've got the TV title. And they're like, well, who cares? You're going to get booked in the way we want you to get booked, and you've got to push yourself. If you don't advertise yourself, then you're going nowhere. And right now, Shane is where he should be, as is yourself, as is SOS, as is O'Shea, because you are pushing yourself, and that's the way it has to be in this business.
I think with us, like the mindset was, none of us are, whenever things come down, we're not concerned about, who's going to wrestle. We're not concerned about, who's getting a title individually, because at the end of the day, we're always like, if one of us wins, we all win, and that's how we look at things. We're not a company, and Shane, you reiterated it on the interview with you guys. He said, we're not employees. We're not anything like that. We're a team. We're associates. We all have our own importance, our own strengths, our own focuses, and that's how you come together and become a team player. Yes, Shane is our face of the company, but in the ways of a team captain. Not in the ways of, well, you guys have to do this, you guys have to do that. When it comes down to making decisions, or when it comes down to companies getting in contact with me for these big money fights, they have to go through me to sign this in order to get anybody with STPN. I never talked to any of my brothers like, hey, we got to do this. Well, we need to do this. No, we always find a way of coming together and saying, hey, this is what's put in front of us. What do you guys think about this? You guys want to do it? If they say yes, cool, we set it up. If they say no, cool, on to the next one. If someone wins a title, listen, we all win. And so I think when you get into that mindset where there's always room at the table for everybody, and I think in a way, the way that inconsistency comes is, when you get jealous of one another. There's no jealousy with STP whatsoever. And, I think we're very fortunate that, we're all in the mindset of there's room at the table for everybody. If one person wins, we all win. And we keep it like that. So it's been good so far.
It's very similar to what we're like, boys, aren't we? It's our house.
Listen. Hey, exactly. See, I don't see any black eyes from anybody yet. See, Carl's still looking pretty,
That's the first time he's been called pretty. That is the first time.
I think I can quit now. I can retire.
I had to give you a compliment because you don't quite have the full amazingness of the facial hair yet.
Yeah,
so I
it's
gotta
coming
give you
in.
A compliment.
It's coming in. I had to shave. We're in lockdown here, so
hey, I've got none. I've got none going on.
Well, you got a little bit. You got the mustache going on.
A little bit, yeah.
You got the Superman haircut going on
He's
right now.
He's got a Rick Rude mustache. That's what it is.
There we go.
November.
Right, Ron. So we briefly mentioned it before about how you've sort of transitioned into being more of a manager. I did a little bit of research, did a little bit of number crunching, and over the last 5 years, you've only wrestled 113 matches, which obviously we'll ignore 2020 because not many people have wrestled many matches. It's been a difficult year for everybody, but on average, that's only around 27 or 28 matches a year over the last 4 or 5 years. So is that something you're okay with? Do you want to wrestle more, or are you happy with where you're at now, being the voice, being the hype man, the guy that inspires others, or do you want to get back in the ring more often?
Yeah. Well, I would say I'm gonna fight the website that put that, because I think I know I've been in contact with them and they haven't updated. So I think that's when they started following me initially, when they started making waves. So let me see. Overall on the independents, I want to say it's pushing about 9.5 years overall on the independents. And I know last year alone I was at about 90 something matches. So that's why I have to update them. Yeah. But you still have a valid question. One of the things is, my thing is on the independents, I'm very, very, very active, mainly wrestling on the independents. When it comes to ROH, my thing is to make sure my boys eat first. Clearly they know where to find me. ROH knows where to find me when they get some issues. Clearly they don't want no smoke, because the last time that we had some issues, they tried to put us in that 6-man tag in Columbus with Cole Cabana, Ian Riccaboni, Todd Sinclair, and all of them. And then we kind of were like, nah. But so my thing is, every good manager, every good manager, every good businessman has a little bit of bite to that bark. And I think the people that know me very closely know exactly how dangerous I am when it comes in the ring, and especially when you mess with my own. So, in this mindset, I'm comfortable with where I'm at in regards of being the COO and the vice president of Shane Taylor Promotions. But we all know that when everything gets down to the nitty gritty, if there's any type of injustices, I could take that suit off just like that, and it's a done deal. And then you got to add one more hyena of STP in that fold, and there's going to be some problems. So at the end of the day, I tell my guys, you think you got this? They're like, yeah, Ron, we got this. I'm like, cool. If they say, hey, Ron, and they give me the Iggy, bam, just like that, it's a done deal.
Excellent, man. So obviously we know what you bring, and we've obviously spoke to Shane as well last week, and we know what he brings. What I'm trying to get is, what do you feel is each and every one of your main strengths, and that includes yourself and Shane. Obviously, we have spoke about you previously, but we'd like to know a wee bit more in regards as well SOS, and obviously with Shay as well.
Yeah. So starting with SOS. SOS was our first signings to Shane Taylor Promotions, and I can't say enough about those guys. Honestly, people are just getting on fire for them right now. They are amazing, by the way. Years.
They are
so good.
Yeah.
We've been watching them for a long while now. They are excellent, man. They work so well together as well.
Yeah, and they've been cohesive like that for years. And when I tell you, I want to say, it was well into a year of Shane and I looking to get SOS on board with Shane Taylor Promotions before things, got the trigger pulled. And it was a couple months after that before, we officially announced it on TV. But, the work rate of those guys, the caliber of quality that you get from those guys is absolutely unmatched. Those are guys, as you said, they are a well-oiled machine. A great tag team when they can just look in each other's eyes and automatically can talk to each other without opening up their mouth. You look at how they're built. You know, you look at Khan, who is chiseled to a T.
He's a machine, by the way.
He's a machine. He's quick, he's strong, he's powerful. All he takes is 2 seconds to get you off your feet. You look at a guy like Moses. Listen, don't let the size fool you. He is just as quick, and he is even more powerful than what he looks. You can see him throwing guys all around miles. So, you know, when you put 2 guys like that together that know what their own individual strengths are, and they play to each other's strengths, they're cohesive, they work as a team, there's no missing links, that's how you get SOS. On top of that, you know, going back to it, I can't stress anymore the importance of the mindset. These were 2 guys graduated from Maryland Championship Wrestling, MCW, a tremendous school where nothing but stars come out of. You look at guys like a Leo Rush. You look at guys like a Velveteen Dream. All of them have came out of MCW. You look at females like Gia Scott and so many others came out of MCW, and the list goes on. They are a product of wrestling greatness. At the same time, their mindset, once again, when we look at that, was the same as Shane and ours. They felt like they had more to offer. They felt like the world needed to see more of them, and we wanted to give them that platform for the world to see them. And that's exactly why we brought them on STP. So, but in regards of O'Shea, I mean, the name speaks for itself. The guy is legit the monster above all monsters. You're looking at a guy that is a big boy. Yeah, he's a legit tank. I strongly feel we can put him in the ring with anybody. Have no concerns, no worries about if he's going to get the job done at all. He sleeps, he's hungry. He's awake, he's hungry. All he wants to do is dominate.
That's like Fuzz.
That's like me.
Listen, it's just like you. Like you don't need the quarantine to put on quarantine 15. You want to eat all the time. That's just how it is. Unfortunately for O'Shea, we have to feed him wrestlers because all he eats is bodies. You know, fortunately, we got a good lawyer, so we don't go to jail because of that. But, you know, we just keep feeding them bodies, and then he's like, "All right, next one up, boss. Next one up, next one up." And we're like, "All right." The more you want to dominate, and you know, O'Shea was another one that for everyone that knows wrestling knows about O'Shea Edwards. Even when you look into Pro Wrestling Illustrated, they know about O'Shea Edwards. Everyone across the U.S. knows about O'Shea Edwards. So why do we have to wait for the right opportunity to put a plate in front of someone and let them eat on a national and a soon future, perhaps an international level, when we can give it to them right now? Why make that person wait for it? And O'Shea proved it time and time again. And we're always like, if these guys have proven themselves, not not for the sake of proving it, but just because they're that talented that the world needs to see them, let's give them a platform to do that. Let's see where they're at, and let's bring them on board because we know what they're about. And that's exactly what we did when it came to SOS, Con and Moses. That's what we did when it came to O'Shea Edwards. And hopefully we're going to continue to do that as we continuously sign some more people in the near future.
Yeah, so you mentioned before, obviously you want Shane Taylor Promotions to be like the Bullet Club. So obviously
no, Faz.
Bigger and better.
Bigger, stronger,
and better.
More traveled. I can keep going on. Go ahead.
So
Ron,
obviously
you've got you and Shane in a car. You're more traveled already. We know this.
I know, right? I'm like, man, I can just chill back now.
The question obviously is going to come up at some point if someone wants that next level. Is there going to be, some dissension? Is there going to be some arguments, some discussions? Or how is Shane Taylor Promotions different? How is it tailored to not have that?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think one thing you have to look at that is a missing link in all of pro wrestling is loyalty. Loyalty is something that is highly overlooked within our business. It's very hard to find people that are loyal. It's very easy to chase the money. It's very easy to chase the empty promises. It's very easy to chase the paycheck or the title. But when you have guys that are legit in the same mindset and honestly, Shane Taylor Promotions is just our name. I can honestly tell you we are a family. And when it comes down to it, loyalty is everything in this business. It doesn't matter where you go. You could be the richest person in the world, and if there's no loyalty, you're going to be a miserable rich person. Now, granted, with us, we're rich and amazing. So,
best of both. Best of both.
Yeah, exactly. But for some of the people that sometimes for their own decision, and not to say that they're wrong, but for some that perhaps want to chase those promises or want to chase some of those other lights, it's very easy to in this business. Especially where you look at where you are. If greed gets in the way, everything can be lost just like that. But with us, we are very solid in where we are as a brotherhood. We're very solid at where we are as a mindset. And I to be honest, I've been in the business for years, even outside of wrestling. And I don't think I've ever, and I'm not being biased just because it's us, but I don't think I've never seen a cohesive unit like Shane Taylor Promotions, to where we mean what we say and say what we mean. And when it comes down to it, I feel like all of us, with no hesitation, will lie our bodies on the line for our next brother. And when you get to that loyalty, I think loyalty like that is everything, and that's how we prevent ourselves from slipping, because it's like either you want all of us or you get none of us. You're not going to take one person and then the others have to fend for themselves. No, you either want us all or you don't want us at all. And that's how we are. And I think that's something that we have a little bit of an advantage of when it comes to making some of these deals and talking to some of these companies and dealing with some of these people. Is you either take us all or you don't take us at all. And sometimes if you don't want us at all, okay, we'll make our own plate. We've done it at ROH so far. It seemed to work out so far.
Damn right. It's like Shane said, didn't he? He's the one taking the shots while the other person goes through. And
yes,
that seems to be obviously the thought throughout of the whole promotion.
Yeah. Just like you said, our mindset is, if we can take some of those bullets and, while we're being a voice for change, if we could take some of this impact, just allow our next brother to get through and get to the next level. What we look at is, it's a race, it's a marathon. And, just like a relay race, you have to let that other person get in front of you and pass that baton. And then they do their lap. And then you keep passing it until eventually the whole team wins. And that's how we always have operated. How can we help each other get to the next level? How can we help each other get that title? How can we help each other dominate and prove what we've been saying since day one, that we're the most dominant force, not only in Ring of Honor, but all of professional wrestling? How can we do that? And how can we do that cohesively as a unit?
One thing you said as well, though, that it does kind of, you go through a lot of other factions that have been around. You've got Aces and Eights, you've had Bullet Club, you've had NWA, you've had DX, there's several ones that we talk about, but they've all had a leader, an individual leader. Whereas in Shane Taylor, yes, you've got Shane as the captain, but he's not the leader. They're all as equal as each other. And that's something that you do notice with yourselves, but you don't get with other ones that seem previous.
Yeah, I think one of the main things, when you talk about leader, or some people say bosses, if you're a boss, if you're a leader, no matter what people say, there's always going to be some bit of micromanaging. But if everyone in their own individual strengths are leaders, then you have full heart. Then whenever it's that person's time to get the job done, you just let them do their thing and do what they've been doing so well. And I think that's what separates us, respectively, from any other stable that has been mentioned. Now, mind, that doesn't mean that any stable has not been successful. Every stable pretty much has been successful that you have mentioned. And, all respects go due to them for what they've done in this business. But when it comes to STP, our mindset is, if there's one leader, that means that leader has to micromanage, which means at some point in time, you don't trust your fellow brother to get the job done. But if all of us are leaders and we lead based on our own individual strengths, then that means you can trust that person to get the job done. And and as you've been seeing, we've been dominating. I mean, you see, us getting in the ring with people that people thought were never going to happen, and making money matches happen. Getting dominant wins and making things happen. This is what we've been doing since day one. The world is just picking up on it, but this has been our mindset since day one.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing is like with those factions that have had a leader, they're always the first factions to split up. Like look at the New Day. There's not really a leader in the New Day, and they've been together for what, like 6 years or something like that.
You fucking
now?
love
7 years,
the New Day, don't you?
Fucking love New Day.
Every party he brings them up, every single interview.
I'm gonna do it forever. Sorry, not sorry.
Hey, you guys do a segment on Mae Young. He's like, well, you know, the New Day took Mae Young to get some ice cream.
I'll find a way. I will find a way. But no, as I was saying, like all of those other factions, like as Stuart was saying, like DX, they had a leader, they split up. Evolution, Triple H was a leader, they split up. The Shield, Seth Rollins is pretty much the leader there, they split up. But then, like I say, you see a promotion like Shane Taylor Promotions, you see a faction like the New Day, and because they don't have a leader, because they are all a brotherhood, because they are all on, like a level playing field and they are equals, that's only made their bond stronger. And that's what we're seeing through Shane Taylor Promotions.
Absolutely spot on. And I think I can't, reiterate, how much I gotta say it again is that loyalty factor. And I think at the end of the day, certain things might not be in our control the way that we want them to go, but what it is in our control is the cohesiveness and the hyena mentality, the pack mentality that we have to get the job done by any means necessary. And regardless of how the cards are dealt with us, we find a way to get it done as a team. And I think that's one main thing that kind of separates us is we're never selfish enough to say, hey, well, I got mine, well, best of luck to you guys. No, it's like, okay, well, I'm here, how can I get my brothers now here? Okay, how can we get each other to this level? How can we extend this far? How can we grow this much? Everything is a we. People say there's no I in team. Listen, there's no I in Shane Taylor Promotions, okay? Technically, there's not a we, but there's an E in there and there's an M. And if you turn the M upside down, it's a W. So therefore, there is a we. So we're going to make it work. There's a we in Shane Taylor Promotions.
Ron, I'm not, there is an I, mate. There is an I in there, by the way.
Yeah, right at the end, there's an I.
Yeah, in promotions.
I'll take it back. Hey,
We'll cut this out. We'll cut this bit out.
Hey, there is an I. The I is silent. Okay? The I is silent.
I'll save you here.
I'm going to drink my coffee so I can make sure I can spell.
I'll save you here, Ron. There's no I in team, but there's an I in win. And if you all work together, you will win.
Listen, okay, all right. Well, now we got to fly you in now. Now we got to fly you in still.
Okay, so that was good. I like that. We know you're in current feuds just now, which we'll come to near the end. But right now, we're obviously, as you've said previously, we're looking at getting a bit more relaxed in regards to the COVID situation. So 2021 is going to be a big year, not just for obviously Ring of Honor and Shane Taylor, but for the whole world, but mainly focusing on Ring of Honor and yourselves. What do you envision for 2021 for Shane Taylor? I mean, I know I envision for 2021 for Shane Taylor, but I'll let you go first.
I envision, and this is something that has been all across the wrestling internet. This has been all across fans at live events when Shane was on his Ring of Honor World Television run. People know what we did with that title. People know the relevancy and the power that we replaced, and no disrespect to any of our former television champions, but people know when it came down to it, Shane was one of the realest TV champs that people didn't want, but at the same time, they didn't know how bad they wanted it until they had it. You know what I'm saying? And, when it comes down to it, anything that's placed in our hands, we take it to the next level. People know how dominant we were. We're not going to talk about what happened at Final Battle with Dragon Lee. Because Dragon Lee and I still got to have a talk about what happened that night. But
Chris mentioned that last week to Shane. It didn't go down too well.
No,
that was my bad.
No. Matter of fact, we got to have a talk with him. We got to have a talk with Gary. We got to have a talk with everybody over there because there were some injustices there, and I'll find the replay for it. But when it comes down to it, our mindset is what's next. Who do we got to eat next? Who do we got to beat down to prove that our promotions, that Shane Taylor, that Khan, that Moses, that O'Shea is at the top of their game. In particular, right now, I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I'll put it out here. We want that Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. We believe that it is due time. We believe that Shane has proven himself. We believe that something that people thought was a fluke win when he initially got the Ring of Honor television title, and seeing how far that we took that bad boy all the way to the end, people know what Shane Taylor is about. And it's about time that we take this thing to the next level. People have been asking about it. It's about time Ring of Honor gives it to us. So I will not lie on this. I tell you this, I got a lot of paperwork that's circulating right now to see what we can do when that time comes. But when it comes, you can best believe in Ring of Honor headquarters mailbox, there's going to be a contract in there for them to set up a meeting with Shane Taylor Promotions and seeing how we're going to get this thing done. That's what I see going around Shane Taylor's ways. I tell you that.
I totally agree because, like we said, I'm going to use Miz as an example. Intercontinental Championship is one of the most prestige championships. However, it wasn't used correctly. The Miz got it, he created it, and he made it what it is now. And I think it is back to where it was. It goes exactly the same for Shane Taylor in regards to the World Television Championship. It's had some really good legends that have won it. Don't get me wrong, but as I said last week, the person makes the title, not the title makes the person. And Shane made that title what it is, and he was one of the most, arguably the best dominant. Maybe Jay Lethal could be in that bracket as well for being the World Television Champion. What that means now, he should be. Oh, Ron, you there?
Oh,
you there?
I got you.
He needs to be in that title picture. He has to be in that title picture. He is dominant. He is doing what he can, and he's done it himself. Okay, Shane Taylor Promotions. What I meant, not Shane himself. I meant you as a group. I've done it, and he needs to be put in that picture going forward. Yeah,
and that's one of the main things that we talked about. And I was just talking to O'Shea yesterday, and we were at an event together. You know, it's one of the things that, you know, it's one thing to tell people something, they're like, okay, well, I guess we can probably see something like that happening. But when you get to a point to where it's like, no, this can definitely happen. And we're at the mindset of, we want everything. We want the world. We want the we want the heavyweight title. We want the TV title. Again, we want the tag team titles. We want the 6-man titles. Every title that they got here, heck, we want to talk about it. Let's put it out there. We don't have a female signed to STP yet. We're talking to some females. So when that time comes, we want the Women of Honor's title. We want every title that's in that doggone company around the waist of some member in Shane Taylor Promotions. We don't settle for basic. We don't settle for complacency. We settle for the top of it, or don't give it to us at all. So honestly, anything that has gold, we want it.
I think
no point being there if you don't, is there?
Totally.
What'd you say?
No point being there if that's not what you want.
Honestly, that's what we tell people. There's no, if you don't want what's at the top of the food chain, if you don't want the top lion that's holding that particular spot, why are you doing what you do? Find something else to do. I train some students here at Believe Wrestling Academy in Dayton, Ohio, and I tell them the same thing. No matter what company you go for, guess what? If you're not aiming for the top, you might as well go somewhere else. You might as well find another job, because this job isn't for you. Don't try to go through this pain. Don't risk your life. Don't do all of this if you're not trying to be at the top of your game. With us, we feel like we are at the top and we still haven't even reached the pinnacle. But while we're making our way to the pinnacle, we want every single thing that comes in our way as we're climbing to the top of that mountain. We want gold around everybody's waist.
So when obviously you're talking about potential women you might be signing and things like that, and as you were saying, you're looking for more people who want to smash that ceiling and take the title. We've got people in other promotions who are happy to settle mid-card. You've got people like Miro who've gone to AEW and they're quite happy in doing what they're doing. So when it comes to Shane Taylor Promotions, who are you looking at? Obviously, we'd love names. We'd love a name. We're not going to lie. We'd love a plug. But who are you looking at that you could potentially bring into STP going forward?
He's really trying to pick us now. I will tell you this. It is fair game for any and everybody. We just put a video out a few days ago of us saying that we're always looking on how we can enlarge our legacy, how we can enlarge and grow to the next level. At the end of the day, it's not about who we want, it's about who wants to be a part of us. We are very satisfied where we are. We're not complacent. We are satisfied with where we are. We can continue to dominate without adding anybody else. Would we like to grow? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we're not hurting. So, at the end of the day, sometimes certain people we might not even be thinking about unless they reach out to us. We've had some people, when I tell you, some tremendous international level people reach out to us talking about being a part of STP that we're conversating right now. We have some heavy hitters that are potential high contenders to eventually be on board with STP. But at the end of the day, our mindset is we want a person that's in the same mindset of us. They're in the mindset of taking what they want. They're in the mindset of being a voice for change. That was one of the main things that brought Shane and I together. Outside of wrestling, we wanted this to be much bigger than wrestling. So much injustices that are happening all across the world. Anything you name. Our main mindset is let's build a platform, with wrestling clearly being a focus, but also with other focuses also. Let us have a platform that we can have ourselves, have our crew be the voice of change for these things that we are seeing. Let us be the people that are telling people this is what we need to do. This is why this is wrong. This is why we need to do this, because so many times we have so many people that are scared to speak up about things because they're scared of retaliation. They're scared of backlash. But with us, we're like, hey, if we have to make ourselves a martyr just to make sure that there is some type of equality in all of the world, by all means, we'll do it with no hesitation whatsoever. So, our main thing is we want people that have the same mindset of change like we do. We want people that have the same mindset of not being a follower, but being a leader, because we're all leaders on STP like we are. We want some of the same people that have the mindset, I want to build my own brand while I'm doing what I'm doing. We want people like that on board with us, and it can clearly work as a team on top of that. And that's been very successful for us right now. But when I tell you, all I'm going to say is we got a few heavy hitters that are definitely in some serious contendership that eventually be announced in the very near future.
So it's official. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is signing for STP. Say that right now.
No. Dwayne humbly said that we offered him too much money. That's what he said.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
I didn't think that was possible. I said, bro, we gave you our minimum wage. What are you talking about?
He can't go to Ring of Honor. He's at Impact now anyway, apparently.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I tell you, 2020 gave me some surprises. I tell you that. I never thought that I would hear that name and that company name in one.
No.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with you. Totally agree. Chris.
Why are you saying my name for, Stuart? I was going to ask. I've already asked my question, man. I asked earlier.
Listen, he already talked about the New Day. Chris is satisfied.
Yeah. That's it. I'm going to log off.
Okay, so
I've got one. Sorry, I've got one. So obviously, we've talked to Shane about COVID coming back into the ring now. Obviously, with no fans, you in your role with Ring of Honor, you've obviously got a lot of mic work in that to go with, but you feed off the crowd a lot with what you're saying and how you're positioning it to other athletes. How's that feeling for you now, coming back when there's been no crowd? Is it obviously it's different? But is it difficult, or is it more like a duck to water where you're thinking, you know what, hard cam, let's go for it?
Yeah, I think, in regards of my role, outside of, what you're seeing on, sorry, let me just cut this off. But yeah, outside of what what you see on, TV and everything like that. When I tell you, what I do with STP is a 24/7 job. When it comes to paperwork, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to scouting, that was another reason why I was in West Virginia yesterday, just scouting some of the talent with one of the companies out there. It's a full time. I think I lost you. There we go. But yeah, it's a full time job, and so when it actually comes to me showing up, I'm always in the mindset of, okay, well, what's the message? Because a lot of times when I have to show up, that means there's some serious business to take care of. I like to kind of stay behind the scenes unless I have to speak up and say something. But when it comes to that time, or if Shane is busy, but when it comes to that time, people know that we definitely mean business if I got to come out the office. So I don't think that the fans necessarily had an effect on me. Clearly, we like to see the support that we have with Shane Taylor Promotions, but at the same time, I feel like it hasn't been a setback for me. A lot of times when I show up, I have a message for a particular group, for a particular athlete. And sometimes right now, if there's less of a crowd, it makes it even better for me, because you're going to hear every single word that I have to say loud and clear, no interruptions. So you have no excuse if you catch Shane's right hand right to your jaw. You have no excuse if SOS beats you down. You have no excuse if O'Shea Edwards comes in and just completely tears you into carcass. You have no excuse, because you can't say you didn't hear what the Rev had to tell you. Mm-hmm. There's an empty arena. It's just us and you. Heed to the warning and let us be.
So you've really thrived with that, haven't you?
Yeah. You have to, because I think at a time, we're at this time to where there's so many internet and keyboard warriors. A lot of times, the real people are often few and none, to where if we say we're going to meet you outside, we're going to meet you outside. If someone says something bad to me and I'm like, all right, well, wait till we see you. Well, guess what? You better hope you're not in a wrestling ring with us in the very near future.
I love it. Right, so going on to our last question. So this is the one that the fire. So what are your goals going forward and your thoughts on the current program with EC3 and the Briscoe brothers?
Ooh.
Got any messages?
Rev, take your time, mate. We've got all the time in the world, mate. Go for it.
Listen, I don't know, Stuart. You might have to jump in as our +1 on that one, man. I think we need you, man. I think I've seen you in the gym a couple times. I've seen you in the gym.
By the way, I'm the international one that you're on about. I'm signing for Shane
Taylor.
There
you go. No,
I'm the one he's on about.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to get too irritated on this question. You have a guy like EC3 that is a tremendous athlete. You have a guy that has proven himself, that has held world titles in other companies. You're having a guy that looks and smells like money. What people don't understand is EC3 and Shane Taylor have a past. They're both from the Cleveland area. They both know some of the same people. They have both been trained by some of the same people. But at the same time, while it feels like they have two separate mindsets, two of the same mindsets in regards of controlling your narrative, they're very different at the same time. And one thing that kind of grinded my gears is one thing that EC3 said is, Shane, the reason why I didn't mention your name is because you haven't earned it, or you haven't deserved it. The last time I checked, Shane has earned and deserved more things than I can even remember. The last time I checked, when it comes to Ring of Honor, one of the first names that people bring up is Shane Taylor Promotions. When it comes to it, the last time I checked, Shane has been the one getting injustice after injustice after injustice. But yet EC3 says that Shane doesn't deserve it. When you look back at it, there's a reason why you didn't see your typical wrestling match when it came to EC3 and the Briscoes. The Briscoes have our respect. They know they have our respect. We have talked to them consistently. They know what the game is, but we also know what the game is. We know that the Briscoes have been OGs in ROH since day one, but they fail to understand that there is a new breed in Ring of Honor. There's a new pack in Ring of Honor. And right now, the way that it's going, it looks like that new pack is called Soldiers of Savagery. We all seen what happened when it came to that 6-man tag with Shane Taylor, SOS, EC3, and the Briscoes. Everything that was less of short than a war. So if it comes down to us having a war time after time after time again, if it comes to us spilling blood on Ring of Honor's ring time after time after time again, heck, if it comes to us destroying the whole entire production time after time after time again, so be it. Until we prove our point that Shane Taylor Promotions is nothing to be messed with. Shane Taylor Promotions is nothing to be slept on. Shane Taylor Promotions is everything short of pure dominance, and not only Ring of Honor, but all of the sport of professional wrestling. So EC3 wants to control his own narrative. We have no problem with that. You can control. This is a free country. You can speak, freedom of speech, but don't disrespect EC3. Don't disrespect. As for the Briscoes, they like to fight. Well, they make their match. We like to fight just as much. So we'll just see who has it at the end of the day.
You can believe that.
You
can believe that.
Absolute goosebumps. Love it. Awesome.
And remember, by the way, Shane Taylor Promotions is going one way, and that's up. And we've absolutely supported you from day one. We are OGs Shane Taylor.
We appreciate you guys, man. We definitely appreciate what you guys are doing. And, you know, we already talked, and you guys been in contact with me, and I told you we're going to set something up where we got the whole crew for you guys. And just like you said, Stu, man, you know, everything is up from here. You know, we have no plans on, we don't look backwards. You know, a lot of people say, you know, don't you feel that's, you know, not right how things happen with the ROH title? Listen, things come to us when they come to us. But we're not going to look back. We don't regret nothing. When you regret something, it means that you did something, you didn't do something the way that you thought you should have. That's not us all the time. We give ourselves every single time we step out of that curtain. So do we regret anything? Absolutely not. We're going to keep looking forward. We're going to keep proving why we're at the top of our game. And we're going to start taking what we want if it's not given to us when we deal with it. And that's how we've been since day one. You can't stop a train from going if they're not putting on brakes. It's either you try to stop it and it's going to run you over. And that's how we've been.
Thank you, Ron.
Definitely,
Thank you so much, mate, for being on the pod. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I'm hoping it won't be the last time. We'll definitely have you on again soon if you're up for it.
Absolutely, man. You guys know how to find us, man. Whatever you need, we're all here for you.
Awesome.
And Ron, when you're over in the UK, man, we'll catch up.
So what did you say?
So when you're over in the UK, we'll catch up.
Absolutely. I want to go to all the pubs. I want to go everywhere.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
Thing, you're fine. I'm from Scotland. We've got a posh Coventry, and we've got Scouser.
Yeah, so
listen,
you're covered.
I will tell you this. A good friend of mine, Justin LeBar, him and I worked together for years. We worked on WrestleZone.com. He's good friends with Sheamus. Sheamus mentioned this Irish whiskey. I got to remember the name of it. But when I remember it, I'm gonna send a name to you guys. Let me know if you got it over there. So.
Oh, we'll get it. We'll buy it for you. Don't you worry about that.
We'll send over to you, 100%. But by the way, Irish whiskey. No. Scotland's where it came from. We'll get some good Scottish whiskey for you.
All right, listen. I'm trusting you. Now, I'm not gonna tell Sheamus that because I don't want him to bro kick you. So.
It's all right. We'll get Drew. He's from my neck of the woods anyway. We'll get Drew.
There we go.
So is there anything you want to push? Social media, Ron?
Yeah. You know, if you guys need anything, always feel free. Follow me on any social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok. Yes, the Rev Ron Hunt. The Rev Ron Hunt. Type it in, you'll find it. If you guys are interested, anyone in the wrestling world, you need anything out of us, or you need us on a podcast, you need us on a TV show, or you're a wrestler interested in Shane Taylor Promotions, make sure you send us an email, Shane Taylor Promotions, LLC@gmail.com. That's you'll be able to get in contact with our executives. We'll be able to get you guys set up and squared away.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Honestly, it means a lot.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron. And send me your address. I'll get you that. I'll get that whiskey over.
Appreciate you guys. Anything you guys need from me, feel free to let me know. You never know. I might be giving you guys a holiday intro to your podcast every time. So Christmas time, you might get a Rev Ron Hunt holiday intro.
Right. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Ron, stay safe, mate. All right, we'll catch up soon.
All right, yes, sir, brother. Hey, good talking to you guys. I'll stay in touch.
Take care, man.
Take it easy,
See you after,
bud.
man. Cheers, man.
Well,
Damn.
what an interview, guys. What an interview.
Yeah, that'll do. That was all right, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks
Brilliant.
of amazing. Don't get me wrong, we've had amazing interviews from top to bottom, but you know, for our two US counterparts to come in and to have Shane Taylor and Rev Ron, I mean, they blew it out of the water there. Ron, what a guy! What a guy!
100%. 100%.
Just a nice guy.
Yeah.
So, Stu, do you want to say who we've got coming up next week?
Yeah, I am. Listen, I've been excited for every single one, and I'm equally, if not more, excited for next week. We have got the voice of ICW, and I think his official birth name is Billy fucking Kirkwood. I think that's how he says. But we have got the number one commentator of ICW, Billy Kirkwood, next week, and that is going to be hilarious, and I am genuinely looking forward to it. Oh, it's going to be. I don't think we're going to have a script. We're just going to let Billy just go.
No. It's going to be much different to everything we've had in terms of layout and structure. And stuff.
Like you said, our 4 guests that we've had have been fantastic, and Billy's going to give something a little bit different to next week's show, I think.
Yeah, because that's what we want to do. Keep evolving, keep pushing, keep trying new things. You know, the more people we get on, the better it is for us, and the more we learn about ourselves and each other. So, right, we'll end it here. If Chris, you want to push social medias? I'll get mine.
It can be found on Twitter at PWCDs, and head over to Instagram where we are. It's Our House Podcast, which I run as well, and that's flying at the minute. How about you, Stuart?
Yeah, so for myself, it's slawson147, slawson147, and on Twitter, I run Twitter, and it is at It's Our House Pod.
Yeah, so what's the Facebook? I know they use run that, but
It's a house pod again.
Yeah, it's a house.
Just
pod.
Instagram where it's podcast.
Yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at Faz's Thoughts, FAZZAS Thoughts, and then you can follow us on YouTube. All the links will be in the description below. We're hoping to keep pushing so we can get the URL changed soon, so we can just push It's Our House Pod. But it's been a pleasure, guys. I've loved seeing your faces.
Always.
Stu, get back to work. Stop.
I'm away Glasgow now, boys. Anyway, away Glasgow. Can't wait.
Right, take it easy, guys.
See you after. All the best.